this is Carrie the Canary Quilt, and it's week 46 of the Dear Jane Quilt Along. Can you even believe that? I can't. It's just been a whirlwind of a year doing all of these blocks. Anyway, if you're new here, it's not too late to start. Even though we are on week 46, these blocks can be started at any time. I'm using the EQ8 software with the Dear Jane add-on. And I do have links to those down in the description below if you want to check them out. You can also find my playlist on my YouTube channel. And you can search just a single block if you want to find just that block on my YouTube channel. But anyway, hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you want to start this journey, if you're new here, and you'll get notified of the Dear Jane content as we go forward. I do have my website updated. We will be taking a break in December, starting back up in January, finishing out this quilt if you want to take a look at it. We are down to 2 blocks, or 3 blocks a week, 2 border blocks, the left side, and a corner block. And this week we have left side 8, Northern Lights, left side 9, called Kiwi, and top right corners called Longwood. And part of Dear Jane's EQ8 add-on is you can populate a color quilt, which I have my photo quilt from last time up. Here's my color quilt, and I'm going to populate it with my blocks and the colors that, close to the colors that I'm using in my blocks. So for LS9 Kiwi, I'm going to be having a pink block. It goes, or LS8. Why do I keep wanting to go to 9 first? LS8 Northern Lights. Here we go. That's going to be purple. So I need to rotate that. That's going over here, LS8, Northern Lights. And then next block is LS9, Kiwi. Rotate that. We are filling in that edge. Woo. And then our other corner, which is TRC Longwood, and I'm doing that in a bright pink. Look at, it's just as crazy how we're filling this in. Oh my gosh. It's, I don't know. I don't even know what to say sometimes. I just look at this and think, I can't even believe we've done this much work. Anyway, on social media, you can share your blocks with hashtag Dear Jane QAL, tag Canary Quilt. I will share your blocks on my social media, and I love to see your blocks. There are some beautiful Dear Jane blocks out there. Everybody's doing it in a different style of fabric and different colors, and it's just fun to see what everybody else is doing. So I am going to head over to the block work table. We'll take a look at these blocks before we get started actually putting them together. So we're over here at the block work table. I have LS8 Northern Lights up. This block is a combination of foundation paper piece and applique again, just kind of like last week. If we go over to draw, you can see we've got, whoops, I don't want to draw. You can see we've got 4 petals up here and 3 triangles down here that we need to applique on. So if we go over to print, foundation, take a look at it, it's 4 sections, and these sections will not be difficult. 2 of them are very similar, just different sizes, and we've done that bottom section, I feel like, a zillion times this year. So that's not going to be too hard, and then we can go over to our templates, and we need to have our N and our M, which I believe are the same size. We need this Q, which we need, there's only 1 here, but we will need 2 of them. We need O and P. I think those are the same size, and R. So those are the templates we need. And don't forget, we need 2 of our Q. So you can delete the rest of these, you just have to print them out on 1 page. So that's not too hard. That's going to be a fun one to put together. I like the look of it too. It looks really cool. Next block is LS9 Kiwi, and if we go over to draw, it's almost all applique. So you can see this line in here. There are 2 pieces. So if we go over to foundation, it's all just 1 section with 2 pieces on it, and that seam right there will help us determine where these pieces go. So that's I believe why the seam is there instead of just being 1 piece. So that's going to be easy. And then the templates, we can print. We don't need to print the triangular templates, so we can get rid of all of those. And we're left with all of our applique templates. So that's what we need to print out for this. This, I anticipate, won't take very long at all. It'll probably take longer to draw out our templates than anything else. All right, that is LS9 Kiwi. And our corner block is top right corner. It's called Longwood. And if we take a look, the two stars are applique. So we will just need to print the templates, and I mean that one's going to be easy to figure out what we need to print. For templates, you just pick out the two stars, and I think I'm in front of the stars over here. So you can delete everything out, print the stars. The larger star will be in the light color, the smaller star will be in the dark color. So just keep that in mind. And then we can go over to the foundation where that's going to be a little more involved. So we will have, basically we're putting together like a 9-patch with flying geese in the middle, and then the corners of the flying geese have a half square triangle, or has triangles in it. Anyway, it's going to be a minute putting this together, which isn't a problem. All these pieces are going to be pretty much the same. We may need, I don't remember, we may need more than one page. So you can see that the top and bottom row right here are going to be the same. We have our center block, and then the right and left row here are going to be the same. So it's just going to take time putting these together, but we'll be doing a lot of the same thing here. So it's going to take a few pages to print out. And then we've got one right here that's 2 pieces in a section. So there you go. That's Longwood. Yeah, Longwood. I want to make sure I said it right. And I don't anticipate this being too hard. Just like I said, it'll just take some time. But again, no modifications, so I like that. Anyway, hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and let's get started making our blocks. We are on week 46. And we're starting with LS8 Northern Lights. That is our left side border block. This is what we're going for. There's gonna be some applique also. So this is the pieces for the background of the block, and then I have templates for the applique. So this triangle and all of these petals up there are all applique. And you'll need 2 of these triangles, which I have right here. I have my applique ready to go on some fusible webbing right here. So for my foundation paper piecing, here's my pieces right here. And the big piece goes up here. All these rectangles are for the small rectangles in here. These 2 rectangles are down here. This is the first piece for in here. And then these 2 strips are right there. All my cut pieces are available on my website, and that link is down below in the description. Let me start this one, and we'll do that one right there. Okay, to start the A section, I'm going to put my piece on top of my fabric. The back side of the fabric is going to be against the paper. And then this will be our second piece, so I'm going to pin it over here to keep it in place. Now I can trim right here, and I'll be ready for that second piece to be put on. Which will be one of these big rectangles. We'll just line it up. It's off my paper, so it's plenty big. And then we can sew on the line right here, and we'll repeat for the other side. Here's my A section finished. Here's my C section finished, which is going to be exactly like the B. We're going to start, on this one we did start with the dark piece, but it doesn't matter which piece you start with. So I've got this drawn out on the back. I've got my pieces that I need. then these, it's a little bit longer. But anyway, we are going to start with our white. So that's going to go upside down, so it's against the paper. Here's my seam allowance right here. I'm 1/4 inch over number 2, plenty over this seam right here. And I am now going to sew right here, and I'm going to lock stitch up there by B4. There's my first 2 pieces. So our next piece is over here, and that's going to be another white rectangle. These are plenty big. So there's my seam allowance, there's my seam allowance. So now we can sew in between B2 and B3, lock stitch up there. Last thing to do is put on our last piece up here in the corner. We can trim for that. And that piece goes right there. It's off my paper. So I'm going to sew on the line right here, and then I'm going to get everything trimmed up. Here's my pieces trimmed up. This is how they go together. We need to put these 2 pieces together first, and these notches line up with this edge. So I think I will iron this open. Wait. Nope, I'm going to iron it towards this white piece right here because that's how it's ironed on this side. So I'm going to iron towards the bigger section. All right, there we go. Now we can just put these 3 pieces together, and this top section, this notch right here lines up with this edge. So I'm going to get these pieces put together, and we'll put our applique on. I have my piece put together, my foundation paper piece. I've got my applique laid out here, so what I've done is lined up, I don't have them attached yet, lined up the points with the outside of these lines over here. And then these are just kind of floating up here, but once you get them down, you'll want their points to touch like that. And then we've got our triangle in the middle here, down here. And there, the points of the triangle, boy, these are terrible tweezers. Points of the triangle are on the edge of these strips right here, and then your little tiny triangles are just straddling this seam right here. Just make sure they're inside 1/4 inch of your block here on the side. So I'm going to get these put on and fused down. There we go. There's my applique pieces fused down, and that is Northern Lights. Next block is LS9 called Kiwi, and this is going to be just 2 background pieces put together, and then it's all applique from there, which I have printed out here, or not printed, drawn out here and put on my fabric. So this is pretty easy. I'm going to get this put together. I'm going to get my applique cut out, and we'll start laying it out. I got my background piece cut. I've got my applique pieces cut out, and this is how I'm laying them out. I'm leaving 1/4 inch down here, and then I'm going to put this piece right there on that 1/4 inch line. I'm using my 1/4 inch on my board to help me out. This piece right here is centered with the point, and this point lays on the seam, and then these points on these 2 lay on the seam also. Then this point is kind of, or this petal is kind of in between these half moons in the bottom part. And then this little diamond is just kind of floating up here. So that's how I'm going to put mine together. This is pretty easy. There we go, fused down. That's LS9 Kiwi. That was a pretty easy block to put together. We are on to one of the kites. That's what the corners are called, kites. And this one is the top right corner, and it's called Longwood. These are the applique pieces that we're going to need, the stars. So the light star in the middle is actually the larger star, and the dark star down here is the smaller star. I've got them already on my fabric and my fusible webbing. And then we have our foundation paper pieces, which look like this. We do have one back here that's going to be two light colors put together. And then we have our star right here on this first page. So let's see, let's start back here. These big rectangles are for these two pieces. These smaller rectangles are for these two pieces. This large rectangle here is for that piece, and then one of these squares is for that one. Then the rest of everything you see here is for the inside of this star, to make this star right here. So that's our center. These are all our triangles that are in there. And then these are the squares on the outside. And these are the larger triangles that are light color. So if you want to use my cut pieces, they're available on my website, and that link is in the description below this video. So I'm going to do one of these pieces, and everything else on here is going to be exactly the same. I'm going to attach all my fabrics to these pieces, and then we can start to put this together. Okay, let's see. Here's my appliques. Here's my single pieces with the fabric attached, and the one piece I did that has the two white pieces. So I've attached all my fabric to those. I've put these pieces together, and they are all, I did them all pretty much exactly the same. Got some extra strings. So I'll show you how I'm doing that here. One thing I will tell you is not all of them have B1 and B2 right here, but that's how I did it. I started with B1 and B2 right there, and then I went out to B3 and B4. They're all exactly the same pieces. This triangle is in all of them. So I would just, personally, I would change these two to B1 and B2 and then work out to the edges. So that's how this one is set up. I turn it over. I've got 1 and 2 right here. I need my triangles, and I'm just going to put my triangles together right now. And number 1 is the white piece, so that's going to go on the bottom. It needs to be oriented like this. So I'm going to put it it's plenty big. I'm going to put 1/4 of an inch over number 2, and because it's plenty big, it's over 3 and 4 too. So I'm going to go over to my machine. I'm going to lock stitch here, sew, lock stitch there. There's my first 2 pieces, so we can go on the back here, or the front, whatever you want to call the printed side, and trim for number 3. And grab a dark triangle. It needs to be oriented like that, so we'll flip it over. I am going to just line it up with my other fabric over here in the corner and stitch between B1 and B3, lock stitching at both points. There we go, first 3 pieces. B4 is going to be just like B3. We'll get it trimmed up. Grab our last dark triangle. It's going to be oriented like that. I'm going to line it up over here with this corner, and then we can sew on the line. Let's see where we at. Right here. Between B1 and B4. Lock stitch at that point. All right, there's our inner triangle. This part is done. So we'll go over to B5, which is the square in the corner. We can trim for that. Grab our square. It's plenty big. It's actually off my paper on both sides, so now we can sew right here between our triangle and B5. Okay, there's our square. Next is the last piece is our big light triangle. So we'll get trimmed up for that.
And this is plenty big too. It gets oriented like that. So we'll flip it over and I'm gonna just line it up with the corner of my dark piece right there. And then we'll sew on the line right here. And then I'm gonna get all this trimmed up. It's gonna take a little bit of time to do that, and we'll start putting our block together. I got my pieces all trimmed out. Here's my center piece of the star. And then what we wanna do is take our two sections, the long section with a square on the end and the short section with a square on the end, and we're gonna put those two pieces together. And then just this large triangle section with a small triangular section on both of these will go together to basically complete the flying goose that's there. So let's get these 4 sections completed so that we can add them to our center and we'll build out our star. So it looks like, yeah, looks like notches are gonna line up perfectly. So I think what I'll do is iron towards the white triangle here, because that's how it is on all of these other pieces. There's my sections put together. Now we just need to put them on our centerpiece. So I'm going to add the 2 short ones and I'm going to iron towards the centerpiece here, because then it will nest with these squares out here. So I'm going to complete my star here. There's my star. I've got my pieces laid out around it. My shorter of these 2 pieces is down here on the bottom. Then the longer one is on the left. Of the strips up here, the shorter one is on the top with my angled side over here by this angle. And then the same thing with the longer piece. It's over here with the angled side down here. And then I've got my point here. So what we need to do first is put this piece on the bottom. And then we'll put this piece on. And then we can complete it with the shorter piece up here and then the longer piece over there. And then we'll end it out with putting this piece on. And I think I'm going to be ironing towards all the pieces that I'm putting on right now. There is my block, my kite put together. And I've cut my applique pieces out and I'm looking at this and it shows this point is in the point of our flying goose there. And so that's kind of how I laid the white one out. And then this pink one down here, the point is right in the center of this seam down here. So that's how I laid that star out. So that's how I'm going to put them down. You know, there was a lot of pieces to this, but it wasn't that hard to put together. It just took a little bit of time. And it was all the same types of pieces to put together, so it really wasn't that hard, just time consuming. Anyway, I'm going to get my applique pieces put down and our top right corner Longwood will be done.
All right, we finished week 46. Not too hard a week. This one, our corner block, look at that, that's pretty. Took a little bit of time, but that's it. I don't feel like these took a lot of time, and they weren't that hard to put together. Didn't have any pesky Y seams to modify or anything like that, so I think we got a pretty easy week. Anyway, I'm going to populate my photo quilt like I do every week. Let me know if you're doing that. I do have a video on how to do it if you're unfamiliar with it in my Dear Jane playlist on YouTube, and you can watch it there. Let's see, first one is LS8 Northern Lights. Next one is LS9 Kiwi. And then our second corner is top right corner Longwood. And there we go. We are filling this thing in. It is absolutely amazing that we have done this much work. Anyway, share your blocks on social media with hashtag Dear Jane QAL. I'll share them on my social media. You can also tag at Canary Quilts and hit the subscribe button notification bell if you're new here. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.